cat in the wall, eh? Okay, now you're talking my language.
Do you ever drunk Baileys from a shoe?
Oh, great. Thanks, Mother, for replacing the baby aspirin with LSD.
How much you want to make a bet I can throw a football over the mountain?
All right, welcome into the View from C-Deck, and it's time to get back into the swing of things for the season. Dyerwolf here with just Matt, and man, I'm so excited and jacked. Casey, how you feeling here? Camp just started this weekend, or this past week. We're hearing all kinds of reports coming out. Obviously, the Buckeyes had a little bit of a good offseason, made a little bit of noise, and were kind of maybe favored to win the national championship in some people's eyes. And the man at the helm, though, we're going to talk about this podcast, Ryan Day, has a lot of pressure on his shoulders this year. So we're here to talk about Day, what we think about him, what his strengths, weaknesses. But I'll ask you first, what do you think of Coach Day this year? Is he going to be able to get it done with what we have around him?
I'll say he better, because I don't know if he'll get fired or not if we lose to Scum, but I've been on his bandwagon since day one. But I'm going to say it's time if he can't get it done. But it's kind of funny because he's the one that put this coaching staff together, and he can recruit his ass off too. And he got all these guys to come back. I mean, it was a lot of money too, obviously, but if he didn't he didn't put all these parts together, then the expectations wouldn't be this high. But I mean, it's hard to say preseason, but it's debatably the most talented team I've seen since I've been a fan. But yeah, theoretically, the quarterback, you don't know, and the offensive line and those are probably the two most important parts of an entire team. So we'll see. But I mean, you know me, I think we can win it all every freaking year at this point. So, but the hype seems to be higher than even normal for Buckeyes, which every season it's like we can win it all, but this one for some reason it's just freaking through the roof.
It is, and you're right, it's because of him. So looking at Day's strengths and weaknesses, we'll go recruiting first because that's the lifeblood of the program, and now it's by far the biggest job of the head coach. And I guess we'll have to talk about both, pre and post, or how he's morphed going into the NIL era. But a lot of people early on, when he's bringing in top 5 classes, just like Urban was, are going, oh, he's just as good of a recruiter as Urban. He's maybe even better, because you go by some rankings and he is. But I'm like, well, it's really 2 positions that he was doing it, wide receiver and quarterback. Now, quarterback's him, because he's the guy that coached up Dwayne Haskins, put himself on the map as a guy that can put quarterbacks in the first round. Then Fields comes in, puts him in the first round, and then it's all self-sustaining at this point. Oh, I go to Ohio State, I'm a first-round quarterback, 3 straight in a row, until Kyle McCord broke that up, who was a 5-star quarterback too. So, a nick against him, but I'm not going to blame that too much on him. Anyway, recruiting overall, though, very good, but it's been too heavy on one side for a while. Then he's got it swung back, but it's also been like the guys that are the positions he's killed it, besides himself at quarterback. It's been Brian Hartline, who everybody pegged as a great recruiter before Day got the job, and Larry Johnson on the other side, getting DNs that are 5 stars, which are also, he was doing that long before he even got to Ohio State. Larry Johnson has. So I don't know how much credit I give to Day for that, but I will give credit to Day a lot on how he's transformed us in this NIL era. After the first year, we lost all those battles at the end, and he was able to, losing to Michigan definitely helped mobilize everyone, but he was able to get a program in place now where we are up there with almost anybody that doesn't have oil money about how much we can give out for NIL, and what the reports are. We spent $20 million on this team. That's impressive. And his recruiting is we're right there, top 5. He's kept us where we should be. That's not something I worry about with him.
No, not at all. And then also threw in there, you mentioned Hartline and Larry Johnson, but Laurinaitis in his first season has been killing it, recruiting. So hopefully that keeps up.
And I will say, I don't know sure I ever said it on this podcast, but I'm going to go ahead and tell everybody I was wrong about Laurinaitis. I kept reading on our boards that how great he was going to be for recruiting. I'm like, we don't know anything about his recruiting, to be honest. He's never really had to do it. he was a good player doesn't mean you're a good recruiter automatically.
Yeah.
And from what I knew from his Rams days, his teammates didn't really like him because he was a goody-goody who was kind of like he would tattle on them and stuff like that. So I wasn't sure he was going to like relate to these kids, but he pulls 2 out-of-state top 50 overall player linebackers. Okay, I'm not worried. Yeah, that's good stuff. I was wrong about that.
So yeah, Day gets an A for recruiting, whether it's him or his coaches. I'd give him an A.
Yeah. Now X's and O's, another strength of his coming up, and that's why I'll say I was not on the bandwagon from day one because I'm not this is a first time coach's place. I was very worried about somebody who never like actually run a program in any way, shape, or form coming in. But I was excited because his X's and O's, the stuff he did with JT and then Dwayne Haskins within Urban's system, which is not really a pass friendly system at all. It's really not. That's why he never had like 1,000-yard receiver like ever. So I was very excited to see what he could do taking over, that he would be an upgrade. And he was for a while. And then like what happens with a lot of head coaches who are play callers is their play calling gets stale because they just can't keep adapting because they have too much else on their plate. It's not really their fault. But it's not like a guy like Knowles who, like we were talking about before this podcast, how he's can change things up from year to year, completely change how he's going to run a defense or what he's going to do and how he's going to own it. You can't really do that when you're spending all your other time recruiting and doing everything else that Day's doing. But it got really stale towards the end of his play calling tenure there, and highlighted mostly last year when he finally didn't have an elite QB bail out that play calling. The short side runs everybody hates, the terrible wide receiver screens everybody hates. The X's and O's though, overall I'd say like I still give him like a B+ at this point, but we'll see what happens now with Chip Kelly helping with his offense. Maybe we get him back into that A level.
That's honestly, if I could rate what I'm most excited about this year, I think it's Chip Kelly. And not necessarily just because of how much I respect Chip Kelly, because dude's a legend for sure, but he's getting up there. You know what I mean? Like he's not in his prime anymore, but
you have the same issue I just talked about with Day. Like you're the head coach calling plays all this time.
Yeah.
You can't stay ahead of the game anymore.
Yeah. But the main thing is just Day handing over the keys to play calling. Like, hey, that's the main thing. And it's not to just some schmuck. It's one of the best offensive minds college football has seen, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I love it. I think it's a home run hire. I liked when we had Bob too. I thought that was a good hire as well. Just somebody that is head coaching experience and play calling experience is just a perfect match for what Day needs right now. I'll do one more thing because I want to kind of hit on that hire and stuff. One more thing that has to do in-game management, timeouts, fourth downs, big decisions. This is where, like, what do you do in high pressure moments? These are spots that I think he's faltered the most, and that's something that maybe that the lack of experience had to do with, because we waste timeouts. Every week we came on this podcast since we started it and bitched about him wasting timeouts, for no reason really, and him taking too long to make decisions about going for it on fourth down or going for a touchdown versus field goal and things like that, whether or not to punt. Trying to run fake punts, but we can't get them off because we're screwing it up because of that.
The one that sticks in my mind that it's the Georgia game, but
Penn State.
Well, the Georgia one, because we're down and we somehow pull this last minute drive out of our ass. Stroud goes on that freaking 35-yard run, whatever, and we have like 40 seconds or something on like the 35, and he just runs it up the middle like twice. Like, we need 10 yards to make this, like, I feel decent about this field goal kick, and you just accepted a 50-yarder to fucking win the game.
Yeah, and it was with a guy he like didn't want to put in the game. It's Down Hayden. That one, you're right. That probably is the highlight, but also the Penn State game that year. Was it that year when CJ took the sack at the end of the half and we didn't even get an attempt?
Yes.
And that was with a timeout, I think, in our pocket too.
He said, that's on me. He even said that.
Oh yeah, he admitted it was on Day. It was just really that's just stupid. So that's one I'm going to give him like a C minus maybe. If it's not like we had some close wins, we've had close games, but that's something that I think he can definitely elevate himself now that he doesn't have play calling to like block his mind. This is where we need to see the most improvement this year, I think, from him for us to take the next step. That and then now the off-field stuff that's more intangible. And we'll start with the hiring of the coaches first. I'm going to give him like an A. No coach is perfect. Obviously, we've had bad hires. Coombs was definitely like his worst one. Keep it on Urban's son-in-law forever there. Corey Dennis, also a bad idea. Parker Fleming, terrible. But every coach, I feel, has these hires. Saban's had them with offensive coordinators on his team. Urban obviously had a lot that we can. I mean, Ed Warner at OC, Tim Beck at QB coach, who everybody knew was terrible, and still he came in here and guess what? He was terrible. And then he went to Texas and it was still terrible. So, I mean, I guess it just works out for some guys, but I think, but he's always shown a willingness to change. I'll give him that overall. He seems to recognize his faults and does attempt to rectify them. Doesn't always work out, but I think I can't give him too much fault for that because nobody's going to be perfect on these hires. You just don't know guys coming from different areas, or he's inheriting a staff too, so it's hard to just like wipe people out, even though he did wipe out a lot of guys when he first inherited it. Fix that defense.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'd give him an A too, but in like complete contrast to Urban, you'd probably give him a C because he was the worst at willing to change and adapt. Mm-hmm. He did his thing and it bit him in the ass really by the end of his career.
Yeah, pretty much ended his career. And the last thing I'll say is like the overall culture of the program. And this is where, depending on how you look at modern football, you may have different opinions on him. We know how Jason feels with the Haas, that he thinks the program's a little too soft because he takes the mental health stuff very seriously and maybe is a little softer on them. I can go both ways on that. Ultimately, football's football. And that's not life. So them, having good mental health is probably the better of all thing. But also, this is Ohio State, and this is not football is just not football here. You know what I mean? This is one of those jobs that it is serious. It's very serious, and having that kind of culture can lead to just enough. You're always fighting for that inch. Urban especially would say that you're always fighting for that inch. And Aiden Day says it. He's always like, he calls it a percentage though. We're fighting for that 1%, 2% thing, like to be better. Well, that can be that 1 or 2%. Just a little bit like the mental aspect of the game and the fortitude, having fortitude to fight through adversity. That when you like sometimes don't make them always fight through adversity, even if you may be right about that. If you're not forcing them to do it, sometimes like it may not be right. And then also like did he take the game serious enough? Now, is it all his fault that Michigan cheated? And suddenly you can beat us? No, but also they did just like straight kick our ass in kind of scrimmage a couple of years. So I don't know. What do you think about that kind of stuff? The culture of the team with him. I give it a B. I mean, also, but we're not Georgia. We're not getting guys arrested at all. We don't have 25 traffic related arrests.
Yeah, you can't give him too bad of a grade. I agree with Jason a little bit in the fact that there is some moments where I question their toughness, but if the culture was off the rails, would the studs from Alabama be coming here? Would all the best recruits in the country still be coming here? No. So I think I'd give them a B+ on culture. Like these guys do their homework, these high end guys. I mean, it is a lot about money, but they're not going to come to a place that they think their teammates are going to be soft. It's just not going to happen.
Right, especially a guy like Caleb Downs, who's all business. Like, he's not going to do that. I agree with you. And I think overall, I'd still give him I can't give him too high of a grade because of the Michigan stuff. But again, Michigan cheated. This is how they got to where they're at. Not to harp on it too much though, because I can't give him a full pass on that. So I'd still give him a B+ overall. Yeah. But what does he need to do to what? There's a lot of scenarios. So I'm going to run them by you. So obviously, beating Michigan this year is paramount. They're worse than us. They're coming here. They're definitely worse. It has to win unless we win and lose and somehow still win the national championship, right? We win the national championship, can't fire them.
No. Yeah.
But if we lose to this Michigan team, we're not winning the national championship, I would say, is more of the thing.
Well, if we lose to them, they're going to be in the playoff. So
I'm not saying. I'm just saying in a realistic way, though. They're not that like they're not going to win it this year. Michigan's not going to win the national championship.
no.
So if we
They're
lose
a
to them,
borderline playoff team. I
yeah.
think.
If we lose to them at home, we're not winning it either. I just don't. I don't see it.
Yeah. So knock that scenario out.
Yeah.
It's impossible. 0%.
Okay. We lose to Oregon. We beat Michigan and we win the Big Ten championship, but we lose in the quarterfinals, first round of the playoffs. We get upset.
Like, meaning, is he fired?
Yeah.
I bet he doesn't get fired.
Probably not for that. Win the Big Ten and beat Michigan. I think most fans will be happy, even though with this roster, like that would be he'd be back on the hot seat again next year.
He'd be hot seat, but I don't think he's fired. I think literally beat Michigan might be all he needs to do to not get fired. I don't know.
Perhaps. I don't know. Like to get this much money into the program,
Yeah.
there's some expectations that come with that money.
There-
Look at Jimbo Fisher. I mean, they were financially tied to him way worse than we are today. I mean, we're financially tied today pretty hard, but not as bad as that. And they gave him, and they were fine with his 8 and 4s. Not fine, but they were okay with it until they paid up for that number 1 recruiting class, the first year NIL. And then all of a sudden he had 1 8 and 4. See you later. From a program that doesn't have the historic anywhere in the freaking galaxy of the historical success that we have.
There's a big unknown on this too. Like, I'm ranking these based off of Gene Smith. It's not Gene Smith anymore. So it's hard to say what this guy will do, because if it was Gene Smith, I'd say beat Michigan, he's safe.
Yeah.
But with Bjork, I guess.
I'd say Bjork is more like boosters are back involved. So now you have to please the boosters.
Yeah. Which makes sense, I think. I mean,
in this world, yes. And NIL, as long as NIL is the way it is right now, yes.
That is, I'd say we lose to Oregon, beat Michigan, win Big Ten championship, lose the first playoff game as probably like the 2 or 3 seed, right? If we have a loss, but we win our conference, and then you lose to like a 8 seed or something, or whatever it'd be, 9,
10 seed, 7 seed, yeah.
Yeah, I think he might get, I don't know.
I don't think he gets fired then either, because he won the Big Ten. Now, say we lose to Oregon twice, beat Michigan, say lose in the semifinals.
So lose to Oregon, beat Michigan, lose to Oregon, so we don't, and then we
win a playoff game, and we lose in the next game. I guess that would be, no, well, I said semifinals. We'd have to win 2 playoff games then. He probably saved his job with 2 playoff wins, I think.
Oh, yeah. If he beat Michigan and won 2 playoff games.
Even if it does get you to the semifinals, yeah, that's hard. So maybe we'll lose the quarterfinals then. But so we won a playoff game then, but we lost in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, that one's
losses to Oregon.
I think he stays, man. I think it literally is like, if we beat Michigan, he's safe, unless the wheels fall off and we lose to like Oregon, Penn State, and don't even play. And
I guess we don't play Oregon and then we lose in the playoff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we only beat Michigan. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
that would be ironic if he finally beat Michigan and got fired.
Yeah. Would we even make the playoffs though? We'd only have 1 good win.
See, that's a good question for another podcast, I think.
Yeah.
I guess we can do it real quick here. Because they were debating this on one of the radio shows the other day, and they're like, "Oh yeah," because they're like, how many losses do we have to not make it?" And I said 3, and we're out. If it's the big 3, like we're out.
Oh yeah, no debate.
For sure. But they're saying no. They thought it was going to be 4, and I was like, because of the talent level on our team, I'm like, it doesn't matter. We'd have no good wins. And so if we lose, I think if we lose 2, we're going to be on the bubble because we're just not going to have enough good wins.
Unless we can still be in the Big Ten championship. If we
almost certainly wouldn't be. I mean, unless they would have to take some more chaos. Because Penn State doesn't play anybody else besides us. They don't play Michigan or Oregon.
Yeah.
So
there's no way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think if we lose 2 and we're not in the Big Ten championship, we need help.
Yeah. we need other teams to have a bunch of losses. But I think 4 SEC teams almost a given because Ole Miss is like Penn State. They don't play anybody. They have high talent level. They're going to end up with like one loss. I think they play like Georgia, maybe. They play one of the big teams, but that's like they relative to the rest of the conference, they have a cakewalk.
You'd think Big Ten would be 3 locked.
Right. But it would be Penn State, Michigan, and Oregon.
Yeah. But there could be 4.
Or could an Iowa or a Rutgers who doesn't play very many go with 2 losses also?
Yeah.
And they have a similar schedule to us, We probably get a nod over them. We probably are still in with 2 losses, but I don't want to think about it.
No, I sure as hell not say we'd be in with 3. Whoever said that is freaking.
Oh, no, we're out with 3. I think we are out for sure with 3 this year. We just don't have the schedule to eat it.
Yeah.
That means a bad loss or you have no good wins.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that'll do it for this episode, though. Hopefully Ryan Day does go ahead and just smash through this entire schedule. He's got the talent to do it. Lord knows that. And we'll be excitedly watching, though. But for the Dyerwolf, I'm just Matt. We'll see you guys next time. Like, subscribe, comment. Tell us why Ryan Day's great. Or I'm going to guess most of you are going to say fuck Ryan Day. We'll see by the end of the year. All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Hey, guys. Whoa, big gulps, huh? All right. Well, see you later.
A rich man's world.